Welcome back, my intrepid listeners, to part 2 of our short story, Nuns on Crack. In this episode, we find our poor child protagonist firmly in the clutches of the Sisters of Immaculate Mercy. A shady bunch if ever I've seen one. Mayhem and pandemonium are sure to ensue. And oh, what woeful circumstances we find our young urchin in. Pray, my listeners, pray for our young orphan. Pray that he acquires the powers and abilities and absolute wherewithal to defend himself against these heinous murderous nuns. Something's afoot, so sit tight and consume whatever intoxicant it is you need to consume that will enhance your ability to focus and listen. And let's continue the journey, shall we?
Please enjoy part 2 of Nuns on Crack. On one of the longest, loneliest nights just before lights out, as I lay there pondering my new home, I fell asleep for a while. When I woke, I realized Billy O'Doul wasn't in his bunk. He hadn't come in after evening slop. This was Billy's whimpering and sobbing time of choice. After chow, he'd usually run in here, bury that bright red melon of his under the blanket and sob and stutter his little head off. Door was closed and bolted from the outside, like always. How'd he get out? What was that spastic little knucklehead up to? Was he nuts? Out of bunk this close to lights, the sisters would eat him raw, castrate him, then me. Some of the kids had learned how to trip the door bolts, but if anybody was caught out of bunk after lights out, things happened. The nuns went nuts. Kids disappeared. That crazy little bastard would get us both murdered. The sisters would rain buckets of shit on us. Bible shit, brimstone, hellfire, and damnation, all of it, down on both of us. I was making a mental note to kick the crap out of him, to kill him myself, unless he turned up dead, of course, when I caught the tiniest hint of sounds far away, through the tiny peak hatch on the door and down the hallway. Small echoes coming off the walls, just a ways off. At first it sounded like laughing, then some arguing. Female voices, high-pitched voices I didn't recognize at first. Then furniture crashing, being thrown around, and then what sounded like a scuffle. More silence. A few minutes went by, and then the slow death creak of old, crusty hinges, followed by the heavy clumping of what sounded like a team of drunk Clydesdales coming down a flight of stairs. More silence now. Then the clumping came back. Getting closer now, sand and grit crunching under heavy-soled shoes. Doc Martens, the angriest of all boots. Nun boots, getting louder as they came down our hall. I inched back in my cot until I was balled up, knees up to my chest, with my blanket pulled up to my nose like a frightened turtle peeking out of its shell. The crunching stopped right outside my door. In my head I was screaming, shouting at the top of my mind's voice, telling my heart to stop beating so damn loudly. They'd hear it. Whatever was on the other side of that door would hear it. They'd know I was in here and come in and kill me, bite my head off, eat me and crap me out. And Satan would pop out of the floor and carry me all the way down to hell. Right through the fucking floorboards. If a nun kills you, you go straight to hell. It's the law. Also, it's in the Bible, I think. The door suddenly exploded, peppering the room in pine wood splinters. Hall light and damp mist poured in. And there in the doorway, backlit by the most horrific of dramatic effects, panting like a rabid gorilla, was the silhouette of Sister Beatrice, steam rising from her veil, as if she'd been running or fighting or both. She'd kicked it in, vaporized the wood into sawdust and pine mulch, with one mighty thrust of those monstrous size 12s. She stood there breathing poison, evil mist into the room for a while, watching me cower in her shadow, a frightened little bunny rabbit trembling in the dark. Finally, she walked over to me slowly, methodically, and said, "Want to play a game?" Before I had time to think of which answer would spare my life, she grabbed me by the collar and pulled me off the cot like a sack of laundry. Struggling to stay on my feet, I was dragged down the hall, across the chapel and up to the dreaded green door, then up towards Mother Superior's office. Hell, I thought, here it comes. There was not another orphan in sight. Were they all up there? Visions of wet floors, car batteries, and jumper cables flashed through my head. Painful, sharp red and black jaws clamped to my penis and testicles, always my penis and testicles. We stopped before the green portal to hell, and like an old West gunslinger, Sister pulled a key on a retracting keychain from a hitherto unseen key belt, had it in the lock, turned it, then let it snap back, disappearing into the unfathomable darkness that were the folds of her tunic. The motion was a blur, and the door was open. I remember trying my hardest to recite the Lord's Prayer, asking Jesus and Mary and Joseph for a quick rescue. Maybe not Joseph so much, but anybody else that would listen, to save me, to send down lightning bolts, or frogs, or Aquaman, anything to smite Sister Beatrice, smite the golem that was dragging me to my death. She still had me by the scruff of the neck as we began our ascent up the stairs to a lit glass pane door. Laughter and what sounded like jazz crackling sadly in the background. I smelled smoke, a weird familiar chemical smell, distinct pungent odor like bleach and hair on fire. I couldn't place it, but I knew it, smelled it many times before back at the trailer park, day and night, as me and my raggedy pack of baby hoodlums wandered the pea gravel streets, tender young hearts aspiring to mayhem and disorder. We reached the door at the top of the stairs, and Sister Beatrice reached out a hand, big as a pork butt, and slowly pushed it open. All the sisters were there, tunics and veils, in various stages of comfortable disassembly. In a corner, almost completely engulfed in the belly of a gigantic crimson bean bag, was Mother Superior herself. Tiny sensible shoes and thick black stockings covering matchstick legs, poking out of the folds of the chair as if she were being eaten by it. The room was thick with smoke. Each of them sat at a card table of some sort or another. Seated across from each sister was a pale, horrified fellow orphan, eyes almost launching out of their sockets with terror and confusion. And if that maddeningly illogical scene wasn't enough to send my terrified young brain popping out of its casing, there was a Scrabble board between them at every table, a game in progress at each. A peculiar, almost fond memory of life with Dad came back to me in that moment, soothing. It anesthetized me a bit. Dad and I played Scrabble back at the trailer since I was old enough to spell. Mom didn't go in for it, because she was cranked most of the time and couldn't focus. But Dad was great at it. Dad was really good at almost any chair-bound activity. Scrabble was the only thing he was great at. He could sit there for hours, inhaling Vienna sausages ever so slowly, while he contemplated the mysteries of the game, mastering his gameplay. An unexpected gift in a man with an 8th grade education, high-scoring words almost every play. He'd rest the tile rack on that smooth, ponderous mountain of a stomach, and I swear to God, he could play like that all night, drunk off his ass, and the tile rack wouldn't fall. The thing wouldn't move. It wouldn't even wobble. Just little words on little wood tiles resting on his belly, unafraid, on that precarious little wood rack, just resting there. unafraid of falling down into the slop at his feet. I miss Dad. Don't know why. But back to the nuns. They were all there, in the upstairs room. Sister Agnes with that acorn-sized mole, in the corner table with Dickie Sanders, eyes like hot coals. Dickie's face wet with tears as he blubbered and contemplated word possibilities. Agnes's mole seemed to have a mind of its own, sentient, watchful, helping her to win somehow, squirming and twitching as she stared bullet holes into Dickie's forehead, telepathically willing him to make his move. At a table to the right, perspiring with those same black olive eyeballs and fierce with concentration, was Sister Adele. Only she wasn't giggling like an idiot now. She looked like she could bite the head off a chicken, pouring out sweat. Eager, panting like a dog. Across from her, 12-year-old Dontrell Worley, the only black kid in the orphanage. His face was ashen. His black power afro pick had been stuck into the center front of his perfect round afro globe of hair, like an eagle feather on a Comanche brave. You just knew he hadn't put it there himself. Sister Adele no longer looked that stupid. She looked insane, jaw quivering, index finger tapping furiously on the tabletop. Two dark eyes, two swirling pools of orphan-killing hatred, tracking Dontrell's every twitch. Closest to the door was my goddess, my sister Sarah, sitting at a table with Billy. Tunic and blouse undone just enough to snake charm me momentarily. Bosom dotted with tiny pearls of perfumed sweat, gently rising and falling with her breathing. Up, down, larger, smaller. I was lost in lust momentarily, but something snapped me out of it just then. I looked up at her face. There was something different about it. No longer the serene, angelic features of the perfect Sister Sarah. Her face was pinched, nervous, eyes like a rat darting from object to object with manic glee. And sitting across from her, hand trembling like the last leaf on a winter tree, was poor doomed little Billy O'Doul. He was reaching for a Scrabble tile with Sister Sarah eyeing him like a snake watching a field mouse, tongue darting in and out, waiting for Billy to so much as blink, and she'd dislocate her jaw, wrap those beautiful apricot-colored lips over his head, and swallow Billy whole. I can think of worse ways to go, but it was scaring the crap out of Billy. 5 seconds to take it all in, and Sister Beatrice was dragging me across the room again, heading for the only vacant table in the room. She sat me down the way you set down a lamp or a heavy vase, something you're not sure is going to stay upright or fall over and break. She eased her monstrous bulk into the defenseless wicker chair across from me. It groaned like a squirrel having the life squeezed out of it. Then from that cavernous, never-been-kissed maw came one word: play. My game was well in progress. Who had started it? Why hadn't they been allowed to finish? Where did they bury him? Did she eat him? Too many questions. My brain was boiling. I wanted to cry, laugh, pee, crap, and sing hosannas all at once, but didn't know which would grant me more life. Then I saw it, plain as day, and right in front of me. Epiphany. God's actual mercy. A simple word. One word. The reason my predecessor had been discarded and replaced mid-game. There, on the board in front of me, was the last word put out by the dumb shit that had sat here just minutes ago. The stupid little brainiac son of a bitch was probably fertilizing the flower gardens behind the orphanage right now. He's put this on the board. The word was this: Quiotri. Dumb little bastard had signed his own death warrant by putting together what, I assume even now, was a really high-scoring word that Sister Beatrice didn't know the meaning of. And not only had she not known the meaning of it, at the same time had both humiliated her and ruined whatever crazy fuck sanctity this doped-up Scrabble ritual held for them. Sister Beatrice had lost street cred amongst the other nuns. She lost the respect of the other penguins. That stupid little dipshit had tipped over the candles and pissed on the altar without even trying to, or knowing he did it, or maybe even why he did it. Probably suicide, but that's why they'd all stopped playing. They were all waiting for her to go take care of her previous opponent and come back with me. My misspent adolescence, my youthful villainy dodging cops, outrunning trailer park pedophiles, battling rabid dogs and ducking Dad's sledgehammer backhands, had instilled in me certain gifts, a keen, carefully sharpened set of survival skills. I knew exactly what to do here. I played dumb. It wasn't hard. I in fact actually was dumb as dirt by most standards. I hated school, never studied, hell, barely went. My only aspirations for adult life were to become a better thief when I got bigger and faster. Even then, even at that young age, I had evolved into a skilled grifter and con man. I played myself. I came into my own, so to speak. I scanned the room, inhaled the atmosphere, absorbed the energy in, and as most young grifters will tell you, I played the room. I didn't play the game, mind you. I played the room. I gathered up my little wooden tiles, calm on the outside, intestines and sphincter tightening and twisting on the inside, and I spelled out my word on the board, D-E-R-E. Dear, I mumbled, not looking her directly in the eye but keeping peripherals on the room's reaction. Then I looked up. A slow, slithery smile spread out on that cinder block mug of hers. My heart soared quietly. Don't smile, don't smirk, don't move a muscle. The whole room was a snake pit, slithering, coiling around each other, waiting for Sister Beatrice to report, to announce something, to shriek or howl or wail, anything to break the sweaty, quiet standstill. Sister Beatrice leaned back into her creaky wicker chair, flashed a happy crocodile grin. There was instant and silent understanding from the hive mind, and as one, they all reached into some deep, lint-filled compartment of their tunics and produced small glass tubes with dirty, burnt, bulbous ends. And the smoking began. I knew what they were smoking. That shit was as common as cornflakes back at the trailer park. And I knew what it would do to them and how it would change them. Knew what nervous, dangerous reptiles they would soon become. The sisters were smoking the same little white turds that had turned half our trailer park into twitchy, slack-jawed zombies. I had smelled that acetone and baby fart stench for most of my short life. The park always reeked of it. It hung in the air like a fog, day and night, moving back and forth with the wind from Pea Gravel Street to Pea Gravel Street, angry and acidic. The incense of despair, Mom had called it. Quite the poet, Mom. Dad didn't touch it, but Mom would have strangled Mother Teresa for a $10 chunk of it. Strangled her and yanked out her gold fillings. Mom left us at some point. I can't recall when exactly, but I do recall a revolving door of hookers after that. Substitute moms. Scary, sloppy makeup, bad breath, zero parenting skills. All the bright-eyed gals Dad brought to the double wide after Mom cleared out, they also reeked of it. That peculiar stink wafted in and out with them the like some cheap, old lady perfume. Pine Sol and desperation. And here's where it gets interesting for me. Scent triggers memory. They smelled like Mom, and I always thought one of them might even be Mom. you know, coming back. The sisters were getting their crack on, as Mom would say. Mom smoked that stuff night and day. We all need hobbies. Something you have a real passion for. Something you love deeply, sincerely, and simply can't live without. Crack was Mom's hobby. She loved it deeply, sincerely, and simply couldn't live without it. Loved it way more than she loved me or Big Fat Dad. It's okay. She rarely ate, almost never slept except for her long, deep hibernations after week-long binges out on the streets, just looking for more and more of her passion, as much passion as she could get in any way she could get it. Just Mama chasing her passion. Sometimes she'd disappear for days and days, sometimes weeks. Then she'd come back. Crawl back up the trailer steps looking like a shriveled up zombie, like a dried out skeleton in a miniskirt blowing kisses at us both from her crusty lips. And Dad would take her back. Of course he would. What choice did he have? He couldn't get out of the chair to throw her out. And finally, then there was that one last time when Mama's crack passion monkey ran away from her so fast she couldn't catch up to it. I guess she chased it. I never knew what became of her after she left us that last final time. It's been a few years now, and I honestly don't remember what she looked like. All I remember is her bony face, dark eyes set way back into her skull, and the small rhinoceros tattooed on her right forearm. Dad and I were left to fend for ourselves after that. After Mom left, I mean. Me and Big, Fat Dad. Probably for the best. Mom was kind of scary looking towards the end. But back to the sisters. They started getting downright rowdy after they'd smoked a bit. Even Mother Superior. High-fiving. Tussling and scrapping a bit. Knocking each other's headgear off like a bunch of drunk bridesmaids in Vegas. Once they'd settled down and knocked some furniture over, they settled back into chairs, huffing and puffing, all out of breath, and sweating like hookers in church. The Scrabble orgy resumed. They never touched us, never anything sexual. Never. No fondling, no cuddling. Never smacked us around or threw shit at us. But oh my God, whenever we scored a couple of points here and there, we got the black olive eyeball stare of death. Terrifying, but mostly just curiosity, or so I thought. No real anger, just that crazy reptilian resentment and those shiny black eyeballs. Snake eyes looking out into a room full of scared bunnies. We learned quickly. The finely tuned survival instincts of discarded orphans. Just don't score super high points. It should have been simple. All they did all night was play and smoke and play and smoke and play some more. Just fucking Scrabble. Fucking Scrabble, and all night long, all the while, drilling laser beam holes into us with their beady, frantic little doped up eyeballs, occasionally barking at us to play faster, faster. And they smoked. Man, did they smoke. All night those little glass pipes worked overtime, glowing red. BIC lighters click, click, clicking all over the room. None of us dared sneak a glance at any of the others, but I could see it all from where I sat. Every time Sister Beatrice put the pipe to her mouth and clicked the flame over it, I'd wait until the tube of white smoke went clear, and I'd count to 7. Her eyes would get a fresh coat of crazy on them, and I knew those tiny little crack squirrels, wearing their tiny little crack motorcycle helmets, were riding their tiny little crack motorcycles around on the insides of her skull, going round and round in there, full throttle. When the eyeballs got glossy, I could sneak a peek around. I could see the boys, Dickie, Dontrell, and Billy. Heads down, eyes on their letters, and the sisters watching them, blouse collars open, tunics hanging off the backs of their chairs, and all of them praying the rosary like mad whenever the boys made their plays. Seriously, all praying the rosary beads, bead by bead, and mumbling Hail Marys to themselves. All of them except Mother Superior, placid, no agitation, no frantic crack jitters. Just a tiny, deadly penguin, calmly walking around the tables, like a pit boss, looking down at the games, looking at the sisters and looking at us. This went on for weeks. We were always exhausted on Saturdays. The late nights and the secondhand crack smoke, keeping us up all night. And also, and no small thing, the terror and anxiety of imminent death by homicidal nuns. There was that. That was always there. The four of us were growing bags under our eyes that would have rivaled my mother's. On days following each bizarre weekly Scrabble crackathon, we performed our chores like mindless robots, stumbling brain dead on 1 hour's sleep through all the menial tasks we had to perform. And the sisters? Fresh as daisies the following day and all day, they were indestructible. I didn't understand it. I was waiting for them to self-destruct so we could run free. I'd seen what it had done to my neighbors, to the trailer folk, and especially to my mother. There was no in-between. There is no gray area for crack addicts. It's either zombies or superheroes. I once saw Sister Adele walk over to a rusty old tractor, some old red antique monster at the end of the herb garden that died years ago. Adele walked right up to it and flipped it the fuck over. Just flipped it. Grabbed one end of it up like a shopping cart and just tossed it on its side. Just to terrorize the two kids loafing behind it. Swear to God. Indestructible psychopathic nuns. Nothing worse, and God help us. God help me. There had to be a way to bring them down. Something. Some divine power. Some angel. Some saint. Every demon has its exorcist. Every Superman has his kryptonite. But the sisters were angel-proof, God-proof. Nothing except being beaten at Scrabble. For some fucking reason that crushed them more than anything else we'd seen. That and running out of crack. They weren't afraid of us. They certainly didn't fear us. We feared them. They wrangled us. That was the balance. That was the natural order of things. Fear and Scrabble. Every Friday night at exactly 11 p.m., we heard the steps creaking under the weight of Sister Beatrice's monstrous boots. The behemoth coming. The great kraken. The door crusher. Footsteps growing louder as she got closer. Dust raining from the rafters in the moonlight, dragging us all off to Scrabble hell. Sister Beatrice was the muscle, the bruiser that came and got us whenever we were needed. She hadn't kicked my door in again after that first night. She didn't need to. No need for terror tactics, intimidation, or theatrics. She was winning. She was winning. I made sure of it. Crack-fueled rage had been extinguished by night after night of perfectly executed illiteracy on all our parts. Our feigned Scrabble stupidity hadn't garnered us any special treatment, though. We were still made to work, and clean along with the other kids, still kicked around and dragged from place to place like garbage. During kitchen duty, Sister Adele still holloped me when she caught me daydreaming while washing dishes. In Bible class, Sister Agnes's yardstick still came down on the backs of my hands with samurai swiftness when I misquoted Deuteronomy or some other scripture. Sister Sarah still regarded me as something she'd scrape off the bottom of her shoe as we passed in the halls. She sensed my adoration for her, my adolescent lust and longing, and she hated me for it. I still loved her, though. I couldn't help it. I was a child of abuse and neglect. Mistreated. It's all I knew. It's all I understood. Children of neglect and abuse gravitate towards neglect and abuse. That's our crack. That's our monkey. That's what we chase all our lives. I love Sarah because she hated me. But I understand now that Sarah hated me not because I wasn't worthy of love, but because I meant nothing to her. That's become a common theme throughout my life. I've always loved anything and anyone that was disgusted by my presence. That's the only part of me that's actually damaged. What does that say about me? It doesn't paint me in a very flattering light, I know. I love you, Sarah, and I think I always will. I see her still. Perfect face, sublime beauty. Soft, forgiving eyes, but something hot and bubbling behind them. A hard, judgmental mouth. A perfect mother's face. Something that said to me, I can love you. I can show you puppies and cupcakes and warm blankets that can make you feel so, so safe. But I can also kill you. I still don't understand the complexities of the love-hate relationship. Too much crust on that cake. Too many layers. Too many flavors. I don't think I ever will.
Please join us next week for episode 3 of Nuns on Crack.